Vikthal stared at the data streaming across his display and felt something he rarely experienced: fear. The young Luminari researcher had spent 5 cycles studying the quarantined world called Earth, a small blue planet orbiting an unremarkable yellow star in the outer rim of the galaxy. And what he saw in the latest reports made his luminescent skin flicker with anxiety. 847 species across the galactic accord. The rules were clear and absolute. Primitive civilizations must remain isolated until they proved themselves worthy of contact. And Earth had been under observation for more than 1,200 Earth years without anyone from that world knowing they were being watched. The veiled watchers maintained the quarantine with technology so advanced that humanity's radio signals, television broadcasts, and digital communications had been intercepted and blocked for over a century, creating an invisible wall around their solar system that kept them trapped in ignorance. Of S5, an elder Luminari named Sorakith had told him countless times that humans were too dangerous, too unpredictable, too violent to join civilized society. They wage wars over resources they have in abundance, Sorakith would say, his voice carrying the weight of centuries. They destroy their own environment while possessing the knowledge to save it. And they cannot agree on basic truths even when evidence surrounds them. The Galactic Council had debated Earth's fate for decades and always reached the same conclusion: keep them contained, keep them ignorant, and perhaps in another 1,000 years they might evolve beyond their savage nature. But the data Vikthal examined told a different story, one that terrified him more than any tale of human violence. 3 months ago, a research facility in a place called Switzerland had activated something unprecedented, and the energy signature it produced should have been impossible for a species at humanity's development level. The humans called it a quantum entanglement communicator, and according to their own scientific papers, which the veiled watchers dutifully translated and filed, it could send information faster than light without using any of the standard galactic methods. Vikthal had brought his findings to Sorakith immediately, showing him how the human device bypassed every known principle of FTL communication, creating something entirely new through sheer audacity and experimental chaos. They do not follow the proper progression, Vikthal had argued, his words tumbling out in his excitement and concern. Every species in the Accord developed technologies in the same order: nuclear power, space travel, basic FTL theory. And then, after centuries of study, they built communicators based on established science. But humans skip steps. They improvise. They create without understanding. Sorakith had dismissed his concerns with a wave of his elongated fingers. The quarantine has held for over a century, the elder had said. Their primitive device may work in their laboratory, but it will never penetrate our containment fields, and even if it did, what could they possibly say that would matter to civilizations 200,000 years older than theirs? That conversation had occurred 30 solar cycles ago, and Vikthal had returned to his monitoring duties, feeling frustrated but resigned. Now everything had changed. The alert had come through the veiled watchers network at what humans called 347 hours Geneva time, and Vikthal had been reviewing particle physics data when his entire display filled with warning certs. Quantum communicator had activated again. But this time, the signal strength was exponentially higher than before, and the message it carried was not aimed at any specific target but broadcast omnidirectionally across every frequency band. Simultaneously, Vik's fingers flew across his control interface as he tried to assess the situation, and what he discovered made his blood run cold in his veins. Human signal had punched through the containment field like it wasn't even there, spreading across nearby star systems with a clarity and strength that matched Accord-level technology. And worse yet, the message was repeating, adapting, And growing stronger with each iteration, he activated the emergency communication channel to Sorakith, knowing his supervisor would be furious at being disturbed during his meditation period. But protocol demanded immediate notification of any quarantine breach. "What is so urgent that you, Sorakith?" began, his tone sharp with annoyance. They broke through. Vigthal interrupted, something he had never dared do before. The humans broke the containment field. Silence filled the channel for 3 heartbeats. "Impossible," Sorakith finally said. But his voice carried uncertainty. "The field has held against civilizations far more advanced than Earth. Their signal cannot. It already has." Vigthal sent him the data packet. "They are broadcasting on every frequency. And the signal is reaching the harmonious collective territories, the Krillian hegemony borders. Even the outer worlds of the Scholar's Archive." Another pause. "Longer this time. What are they saying?" Sorakith asked. And Vigthal could hear the dread in his supervisor's voice. Vigthal pulled up the translation algorithms and read the message that humanity had sent to the stars. "To anyone listening, we are here. And we are not alone. We come with open minds and open hearts, seeking knowledge and friendship among the stars. We offer our mathematics, our art, our music, our stories, our hopes for a universe where understanding bridges the darkness between worlds. We are humanity, children of Earth, and we reach out to you in peace and curiosity, waiting for your response." The message was simple, almost naive in its optimism, accompanied by what humans considered their greatest achievements: mathematical proofs, images of their world, recordings of their music ranging from something called batch to styles named rock and jazz, and visual art that ranged from cave paintings to digital masterpieces. "By the Accord," Sorakith whispered. "How many have received this?" Vigthal checked the propagation models and felt his fear deepen. "By now, at least 40 member species," he said. "In another cycle, it will reach hundreds. And there is no way to stop it. Their signal is self-modifying, learning from each attempt we make to block it. I must inform the Council immediately," Sorakith said. And the channel closed. Vigthal sat alone in his monitoring station, watching as humanity's voice spread across the galaxy like ripples in a vast pond, carrying with it a message that 200,000 years of galactic civilization had never heard. The unfiltered, unguided, chaotic greeting of a species that refused to wait for permission to speak on Earth. Dr. Sarah Chun and her team celebrated their successful test, completely unaware that they had just shattered the oldest and most sacred protocol in galactic history. The quantum communicator hummed in its containment chamber, and Sarah raised a glass of champagne with her exhausted but elated colleagues. "To reaching the stars," she said, her smile bright with hope and triumph. "To reaching the stars." They echoed. None of them knew that the stars had been watching all along. And now, finally, the stars would have to answer. The galaxy's silence was ending, whether it wanted to or not, and nothing would ever be the same again. The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened within hours of humanity's broadcast reaching the core worlds, and the vast chamber that normally hosted calm, measured debates now crackled with tension and barely contained Panic Ambassador. Thren of the Krillian diplomatic corps watched as representatives from dozens of species argued over each other, their translators struggling to keep pace with the chaos that humans had inadvertently unleashed order. The council speaker called out, her forearms raised in a gesture of authority. "We cannot address this crisis if we cannot hear each other speak." The chamber gradually quieted, though the anxiety remained thick enough to taste. For those who have not yet reviewed the data, the speaker continued, "The quarantined world designated Earth has successfully broken through our containment protocols using a form of faster-than-light communication that our best scientists cannot fully explain. And their message has now been received by 247 member species across the Accord. representative from the Harmonious Collective stood, his crystalline body refracting the chamber's light into rainbow patterns. "We must respond immediately," he said, his voice resonating with harmonics that conveyed urgency. "They have reached out in friendship. To ignore them would be cruel and beneath our values." "Friendship?" A Krillian military commander barked, his scaled face twisted in disbelief. "They are a world divided into nearly 200 separate nations that compete for resources and territory. They wage wars with weapons capable of destroying their entire planet. They are dangerous and unpredictable." Thren listened carefully, weighing both perspectives while formulating his own response. He had spent the past 6 hours reviewing everything the Veiled Watchers had collected about Earth, and what he found both fascinated and concerned him in equal measure. "If I may speak," Thren said, standing and waiting for the speaker's acknowledgement. "Ambassador Thren has the floor." The speaker announced, "I have reviewed the human data extensively." Thren began, his voice calm and measured, "And I believe we are asking the wrong questions. We debate whether to respond, but we should be asking why they succeeded where theory said they should fail." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. The humans did not follow the traditional development path. Thren continued, "They did not spend centuries perfecting theory before attempting application. Instead, they experimented, failed, learned from failure, and tried again with modifications. Their approach to science is fundamentally different from ours." "You mean chaotic and reckless?" Someone called out, "I mean adaptive and innovative," Thren countered. "We have achieved much through careful planning and adherence to established principles, but perhaps we have also limited ourselves. Humans show us another path." Sorkith, attending as a representative of the Luminari researchers, stood to speak. "Ambassador Thren makes an interesting point," the elder said, "but he overlooks the danger. My assistant Victhol has been studying Earth for years, and his analysis suggests something troubling. Humans may be the first apex predator species to achieve spaceflight capability." Silence fell across the chamber like a heavy blanket. "Explain," the speaker demanded. "Every species in this council evolved as prey animals or cooperative gatherers," Sorkith said. "We learned to work together because our survival depended on it. We developed civilization through cooperation because we had no other choice. But humans evolved as hunters, as pack predators who competed for territory and resources. And that fundamental difference shapes everything they do." Victhol stood beside his supervisor, adding his own observations. "They domesticate other predators as companions," the young researcher said, his voice gaining strength as he spoke. "They create elaborate fictional scenarios of conflict and call it entertainment. They climb mountains and dive into oceans and launch themselves into space simply because these things are challenging. And when they face extinction-level threats, they do not seek consensus, they act." The chamber erupted in discussions, some species expressing horror at the implications, while others showed fascination. Thren raised his voice to be heard. "Whether we approve of their nature or not, the situation remains. They have spoken, and hundreds of our worlds have heard them. We can no longer maintain the pretense of quarantine." "Then what do you propose?" the speaker asked. "We send a first contact fleet," Thren said. "Not to conquer or intimidate, but to meet them, to assess their true intentions and capabilities, and to determine if they can join the Accord without destabilizing everything we have built. And if they prove too dangerous," the military commander challenged, "then we address that situation when it arises." Thren replied, "But we cannot make that determination while hiding in fear." The vote took 3 hours, with heated debate consuming every minute. But eventually, the council reached a decision. A first contact fleet would be assembled and sent to Earth with Ambassador Thren leading the diplomatic mission. The journey would take 6 standard months, giving both sides time to prepare for a meeting that would change the course of galactic history. But even as the council adjourned and preparations began, Earth's transmissions continued to evolve. Sarah Chun had assembled a team of linguists, artists, scientists, and philosophers to craft follow-up messages, unaware that anyone was listening, but determined to keep trying. "We should send more music," one team member suggested during their daily meeting, "and poetry," another added. "Something that shows the depth of human emotion and creativity," Sarah nodded, her mind racing with possibilities. "We'll send everything," she decided. "Mathematics and art, science and philosophy, our history both glorious and shameful. If there's anyone out there, they deserve to know who we really are." The messages grew more complex with each transmission, showcasing humanity's contradictions, their capacity for both war and peace, their creation and destruction, their hatred and love. Vekthal monitored every broadcast from his station. And what amazed him most was not the content, but the speed at which humans learned. "They are teaching themselves quantum mechanics through experimentation," he reported to Sorakith. "Each transmission is more sophisticated than the last. They are learning from the act of sending messages how to send better messages. How long before they achieve actual FDL travel?" Sorakith Askadvidal ran calculations based on human progression rates and felt his fear return. If they maintain this pace, perhaps 2 Earth years, he said quietly. "Maybe less. The fleet won't reach them for 6 months, Sorakith said. "What will we find when we arrive?" Neither of them had an answer on Earth. Sarah stood before her quantum communicator and prepared to send another message. This one containing a question that would resonate across the galaxy. "We know you are out there, and we believe you have been listening for a long time. Why did you never answer, and what made you decide to answer now?" The message launched into space, carrying with it a challenge that the Galactic Council would struggle to answer honestly. Humanity's voice had risen, and with it came questions that 200,000 years of galactic civilization had carefully avoided asking themselves. The journey to first contact had begun, but no one human or alien could predict where it would lead. 5 months had passed since humanity's first breakthrough, and the first contact fleet sailed through the darkness between stars, while Earth transformed in ways that sent waves of alarm through every monitoring station in the Galaxy Ambassador. Thren stood on the observation deck of the flagship Concordia, watching the distorted starlight of faster-than-light travel, and wondered what he would find when they finally arrived at Earth. The reports coming from the Veiled Watchers grew more concerning each day. "Another transmission," his assistant Krell announced, entering the observation deck with a data tablet. "This one includes complete schematics for 3 different FDL engine designs." Thren took the tablet and scrolled through the information, his experienced eye recognizing both brilliance and recklessness in equal measure. "They are sharing their discoveries openly," he said. "No security protocols, no attempt to maintain technological advantage. They simply broadcast everything they learn to anyone who might be listening. Is that not admirable?" Krell asked. "It is terrifying," Thren replied, "because it means they assume good intentions from the unknown. They have no concept of the dangers that lurk in the dark spaces between civilizations." But the transmissions were only part of the story. Earth's nations had united in ways that analysts considered impossible for such a fractured species, forming something they called the United Earth Coalition, with the explicit purpose of preparing for contact with alien life. Vekthal had sent Thren detailed psychological profiles of humanity, compiled from centuries of observation, and the patterns they revealed challenged everything the Accord believed about civilization. They form emotional bonds with anything. One section read, "Humans adopt animals as family members, name their vehicles and ships, develop attachments to inanimate objects, and treat artificial intelligences as potential friends. Their capacity for empathy extends beyond their own species in ways we have never encountered. Another section was more troubling. Humans hold grudges across generations. They remember ancient wrongs and pass down hatred through cultural memory. Yet they also forgive enemies and rebuild relationships thought permanently broken. Their emotional range and inconsistency make prediction nearly impossible. Thren had shared these profiles with his diplomatic team, watching their reactions carefully. How do we negotiate with beings this unstable? One diplomat asked. We treat them with respect and honesty, Thren said. And we hope they extend the same courtesy to us. But hope was becoming a scarce commodity as Earth's technological explosion continued. The Krillian hegemony had deployed stealth reconnaissance ships to observe Earth directly, violating Council protocols but claiming security necessity. And their reports painted a picture of controlled chaos that defied galactic norms. Commander Zikiner, leading the reconnaissance mission, sent daily updates that Thren read with growing fascination. They have 17 different organizations working on FTL drive systems simultaneously, one report stated. Corporate entities, national governments, and independent collectives all racing to be the first to achieve interstellar travel. There is no central coordination, no unified approach. Just competition and parallel development. Another report described Earth's military capabilities. Their weapons doctrine revolves around something they call mutually assured destruction. They have created weapons capable of ending all life on their world, and they maintain this arsenal as a deterrent against their own species using it. The psychology is paradoxical and deeply unsettling. Thren had forwarded that particular report to the Council Military Committee, knowing it would provoke strong reactions. The response came within hours. If humans apply this doctrine to interstellar conflict, they represent an existential threat to galactic stability. But it was Vic Thal's latest analysis that kept Thren awake. During his rest cycles, the young Luminari researcher had made a radical proposal that challenged 200,000 years of galactic understanding. I believe we have misunderstood the nature of civilization itself. Victhal's report began. Every species in the Accord evolved from prey backgrounds or cooperative gatherers. We built societies based on consensus, careful planning, and risk avoidance because these traits ensured our survival. But humans evolved differently. The report continued with detailed evolutionary analysis. Humans are persistence hunters who pursued prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. They are pack predators who coordinate attacks, but also compete within their groups for status. They are tool users who modified their environment rather than adapting to it. And most significantly, they are the only known species to domesticate other apex predators. This background shapes everything they do. Victhal wrote, they do not avoid risk, they calculate it and proceed anyway. They do not seek consensus. They argue, compete, and eventually compromise. They do not accept environmental limitations. They build tools to overcome them. We call this chaos, but perhaps it is simply a different form of order. One based on dynamic adaptation rather than static stability. Thren had read the report 3 times, each time finding new implications that both excited and worried him. Galaxy had achieved stability through careful management and the elimination of chaos. But what if chaos was not the enemy of progress, but its engine? Ambassador, Krell interrupted his thoughts. We are receiving multiple distress signals from the outer monitoring stations. Thren's attention snapped to immediate concerns. What kind of distress? Human vessels, Krell said, his voice tight with tension. They have achieved FTL travel, and they are exploring beyond their solar system. Thren rushed to the command center, where multiple displays showed tactical information. 3 human ships had appeared in different star systems simultaneously, each one broadcasting the same message. We come in peace to explore and learn. We are humanity, and we seek friends among the stars. How long until we reach Earth? Thran asked the ship's captain. 3 more weeks, the captain replied. Too long, Thran muttered. Send a message to the lead human vessel. Tell them we are representatives of the Galactic Accord, and we are coming to speak with them. The message transmitted, and the entire command crew waited for a response. It came within minutes. The speed suggesting either automated systems or crew who never slept. Galactic Accord acknowledged. We are very excited to meet you. Humanity has prepared a welcoming committee. Please proceed to coordinates we are transmitting. We will meet you there. They want us to come to them? The captain said, surprised. They are not waiting for permission, Thran observed. They are taking initiative and establishing terms. This is going to be more complicated than the council anticipated. A private communication channel activated, and Sorachith's image appeared on Thran's personal display. You have seen the reports? The Luminary Elder asked. I have. Thran confirmed. Then you understand what we face. Sorachith said. Humans are not just another species seeking to join the Accord. They are a force that will reshape everything they touch. They do not adapt to systems. They transform them. Is that necessarily bad? Thran asked, and Sorachith's luminescent skin flickered with patterns that suggested deep uncertainty. I have spent my entire life believing that civilization requires order, he said quietly. But I have also spent the last 5 months watching humans prove that progress requires chaos. I do not know which truth is correct anymore. Perhaps both are true, Thran suggested. Perhaps the galaxy needs both stability and change. And humans bring the balance we did not know we lacked. Or perhaps, Sorachith replied. They bring the end of everything we have built. The communication ended, leaving Thran alone with thoughts that would have seemed impossible 6 months ago. The First Contact Fleet continued its journey toward Earth, while human ships spread across nearby systems like seeds scattered by wind, each one carrying humanity's voice to new corners of the galaxy. Sarah Chun stood in the newly constructed United Earth Coalition headquarters and looked at the star map displaying human exploration. They are coming to meet us, she told her assembled team. The galaxy is finally ready to talk. Are we ready? Someone asked. Sarah smiled, thinking of all the ways humans had defied predictions and broken barriers thought unbreakable. We have been ready since the first human looked up at the stars and wondered what was out there, she said. Now we finally get to find out. The galaxy watched and waited, uncertain whether humanity's rise would herald a new golden age or the end of the old order. Either way, nothing would ever be the same again. The First Contact Fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system and found 12 human vessels waiting in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming with fresh construction and their weapons systems clearly visible, but not actively targeting. Ambassador Thran studied the display with a mixture of admiration and concern. They knew exactly when we would arrive, Captain Mortek said from the command station. How is that possible when we ourselves did not know our exact emergence point? They calculated it, Thran replied, pulling up the analysis his team had prepared. Human mathematicians worked backward from our transmission lag and predicted our arrival window within a margin of 3 hours. They have been waiting here for 2 days. That level of prediction the captain began, requires thinking like a predator, Thran finished. Humans are very good at anticipating the movements of others. It is how their ancestors hunted. The communication system activated, and a human face appeared on the main display. She was middle-aged by human standards, with dark skin and gray-streaked hair pulled back in a practical style, and her eyes held intelligence and determination in equal measure. Welcome to our solar system, she said in clear, unaccented galactic standard that she should not have been able to speak. I am Dr. Sarah Chun, Chief Science Ambassador for the United Earth Coalition. We are honored by your presence and eager to begin discussions. Thren stepped forward, allowing the ship's systems to project his own image. I'm Ambassador Thren of the Krillian Diplomatic Corps, representing the Galactic Accord, he said. We come to discuss Earth's place in galactic civilization. Then let us not waste time with formalities, Sarah replied, a directness startling several of Thren's advisors. We have many questions, and I suspect you have many concerns. Shall we meet face to face? Within hours, a delegation from each side gathered aboard a neutral human space station that Earth had constructed specifically for this meeting. And Thren found himself sitting across a conference table from beings the galaxy had spent centuries keeping in the dark. Sarah Chun led the human delegation, flanked by a man she introduced as Marcus Webb, Earth's chief diplomatic officer, and several specialists in various fields. Before we begin formal negotiations, Sarah said, her voice calm but carrying an edge of steel, we need answers to some fundamental questions. We are here to provide clarity. Thren replied carefully, how long have you known about us? Marcus Webb asked directly Thren had prepared for this question, but still found it difficult to answer honestly. The Galactic Accord first detected your radio transmissions approximately 1,247 Earth years ago, he said. We have been monitoring your world since that time. The humans exchanged glances, and Thren could see anger beginning to simmer beneath their professional facades. Over 1,000 years, Sarah said quietly. You have watched us for over 1,000 years and never made contact. The quarantine protocols exist to protect developing civilizations, Thren explained. Premature contact can be devastating to emerging species. We have 200,000 years of experience that teaches us caution. Caution? Marcus's voice rose. You blocked our communications. You kept us isolated. You made us think we were alone in the universe when you knew the truth. That is not protection, that is imprisonment. It is standard procedure, Thren said, but even to his own ears the justification sounded hollow. For whom? Sarah challenged. Did any of the 847 species in your accord get to choose whether they wanted contact? Or did you make that choice for them too? The question struck at the heart of galactic policy, and Thren found himself without a good answer. The protocols were established to prevent harm, he said. And who determines what constitutes harm? Sarah pressed. We spent centuries wondering if we were alone, creating philosophies and religions around the question of other life, suffering existential anxiety over our place in the cosmos. And all that time you were watching and choosing to let us suffer that uncertainty. We could not know you were ready until you demonstrated the capability to reach beyond your world. Thren argued. We landed on our moon in 1969. Marcus said, that was over 50 years ago. How much more demonstration did you need? The meeting was not going as Thren had hoped, and he could see his carefully prepared negotiating strategy crumbling under human directness. Let us move forward, he suggested. The past cannot be changed. We must focus on Earth's future relationship with the Accord. The future depends on understanding the past, Sarah said. But you are right that we must look ahead. So tell us, Ambassador, what does the Galactic Accord want from humanity? Thren took a breath and presented the Council's position. The Accord maintains galactic stability through adherence to established protocols and respect for ancient laws. He began. We would welcome Earth as a member, but integration must be gradual. Your species would begin as a junior member with limited voting rights and required adherence to... No. Sarah interrupted. The single word hung in the air like a physical barrier. I am sorry? Thren said, uncertain he had understood correctly. No, Sarah repeated. Earth will not accept junior status, limited rights, or gradual integration. We are either full members with equal standing, or we will remain independent. That is not how the process works. Thren said, struggling to maintain diplomatic composure. Every species begins as a junior member and earns full status over time. Did they earn it? Or did you grant it when they proved sufficiently submissive? Marcus asked. That is an unfair characterization. Thren protested, then explained why species with thousands of years of spaceflight experience still hold junior status. Sarah said, pulling up data on her tablet. The Minari have been part of the Accord for 3,000 years and still cannot vote on major policies. The Vekaral have contributed countless technological advances, but remain classified as developing. Your system is not about readiness, it is about control. Thren felt his carefully constructed arguments dissolving. The galaxy requires order, he said, hearing the weakness in his own words. Why? Sarah asked simply. Because without order, there is chaos, Thren replied. And without chaos, there is stagnation, Marcus countered. Ambassador, we have studied your civilization through the data you have made available. Do you know what we found most striking? Thren shook his head. Nothing has fundamentally changed in your galaxy in 50,000 years. Marcus said, your technology has plateaued. Your arts have become repetitive. Your philosophy has ossified into dogma. You have built a garden and called it civilization. But gardens die without new growth. We are stable and peaceful, Thren argued. You are static and afraid, Sarah said. Not unkindly. You have eliminated risk and lost the capacity for true progress. And humans offer an alternative? Thren asked, skepticism clear in his voice. We offer partnership, Sarah replied. Not as junior members learning at your feet, but as equals bringing a different perspective. You have stability and experience. We have innovation and adaptability. Together, we could achieve what neither can alone. Before Thren could respond, alarms blared through the station captain. Mortek's voice came through the communication system. Ambassador, we have a situation. What kind of situation? Thren demanded. A territorial hegemony battle group has just emerged at the outer system, Mortek reported. They are demanding humanity surrender their FDL technology and submit to inspection. Sarah and Marcus exchanged glances and then smiled, which Thren found deeply unsettling. This is not amusing, he said sharply. No, Sarah agreed, but it is predictable. Bullies always test newcomers. The hegemony is a major military power. Thren warned. They could destroy your ships with ease. Could they? Marcus asked mildly, pulling up tactical displays. We have been expecting something like this. Humanity has a saying, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. Thren watched as the human ships repositioned themselves with practiced precision, taking up defensive formations that his military training recognized as devastatingly effective. What are you doing? He asked, demonstrating another human concept. Sarah said, we call it deterrence. We will not fire first, but we will respond to aggression with overwhelming force. This is what we mean by mutually assured destruction. The hegemony fleet launched warning shots, expecting the primitive humans to scatter in fear instead. Every human ship locked weapons on hegemony vessels and transmitted a simple message. Fire again and we will consider it an act of war. Withdraw or face consequences. Thren watched in horror as two civilizations stood on the brink of violence. Stand down. He transmitted to both sides. I am invoking Council authority. All vessels will cease hostile actions immediately. The hegemony commander protested. But Council authority still carried weight. And slowly both sides powered down their weapons. The crisis passed. But everything had changed. Sarah turned to Thren with an expression he could not quite read. This is who we are. Ambassador, she said quietly, we do not seek conflict, but we will not submit to threats. We want to join your civilization, but not if it means abandoning our principles. You almost started a war, Thren said. No, Marcus corrected. They almost started a war, and we showed them why that would be a mistake. There is a difference. Thren realized that the Council's carefully laid plans were worthless. Humanity would not be contained, guided, or controlled. They would join the galaxy on their own terms, or they would reshape the galaxy until it accepted those terms. 2 years after first contact, Ambassador Thren walked through the corridors of the rebuilt Galactic Council headquarters and marveled at how much had changed. The building itself looked different now, with human architectural influences visible in the flowing organic curves that replaced rigid geometric patterns. And the central chamber featured viewports that showed real-time images of Earth, alongside the homeworlds of other founding species. The Council itself had transformed, almost beyond recognition. Where once 847 species maintained a careful hierarchy of senior and junior members, the new structure recognized only equals, with voting rights distributed based on contribution rather than seniority. It had taken months of heated debate, several threatened withdrawals, and more compromise than galactic civilization had managed in millennia. But eventually, the old guard had accepted the inevitable. Change or become irrelevant. Earth had received its seat at the table, and the galaxy would never be the same. Ambassador Thren, a familiar voice called out, and he turned to see Sarah Chun approaching with her characteristic purposeful stride. She looked tired but satisfied, wearing the informal style that humans preferred, even in formal diplomatic settings. Dr. Chen, Thren greeted her warmly. Or should I say Counselor Chen now? Sarah smiled at the title she still seemed uncomfortable with. Sarah is fine, she said. Are you ready for today's session? As ready as one can be when discussing something that has never been done before, Thren replied. They walked together toward the main chamber, where representatives from across the galaxy had gathered to vote on humanity's most radical proposal yet: the abolition of all remaining quarantine protocols and immediate outreach to the 47 worlds currently classified as pre-emergence. Do you think it will pass? Sarah asked. 6 months ago, I would have said impossible, Thren admitted. But humans have a way of making the impossible seem inevitable. The session began with the usual formalities, but Thren noticed how much faster proceedings moved. Now humans had introduced the concept of time limits for speeches, and while initially controversial, most species had come to appreciate the efficiency. Marcus Webb took the floor to present the case for outreach. For 200,000 years, this council has operated on the principle that emerging civilizations must be protected from premature contact, he began, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber's acoustics. But protected from what exactly? From knowledge? From choice? From the opportunity to join something greater than themselves? We were protected from cultural contamination, a traditionalist counselor argued, from technological disruption, from psychological trauma. You were protected from making your own decisions, Sarah countered from her seat. Every species in this chamber spent centuries or millennia in isolation, wondering if they were alone, developing philosophies around that loneliness. And all that time you were watching and choosing their fate without their input. The protocols exist for a reason, another voice called out. Then let us examine those reasons honestly, Marcus said, activating a holographic display. We have analyzed contact events from galactic history, and the data is clear. Species that received early contact adapted faster, innovated more quickly, and contributed more to galactic civilization than those subjected to prolonged quarantine. The display showed graphs and statistics that Victhul and his team had compiled, demonstrating that the quarantine protocols were not just unnecessary, but actively harmful to galactic progress. Furthermore, Sarah added, standing to join Marcus, we have surveyed the 47 quarantined worlds using non-invasive methods, and we found something remarkable. They are already searching for us. They are building telescopes and sending signals. They are asking the same questions humans asked. And they deserve answers. The debate continued for hours. With species from across the Accord weighing in, the harmonious collective supported the proposal enthusiastically. Having adopted many human innovations in their own society and seeing remarkable results, the Krillian hegemony remained skeptical, but had been gradually won over by Earth's demonstration that strength and openness could coexist. The scholars' archive initially resisted, but changed their position after human researchers collaborated with them on projects that revolutionized multiple fields of study. Victhil, now a full council member representing the Luminary research community, gave an impassioned speech about the scientific benefits of diversity in thinking. Humans showed us that we had stopped asking questions, he said, his luminescent skin glowing with conviction. We thought we knew how the universe worked, but they questioned our assumptions and found answers we never imagined. Imagine what 47 more perspectives could teach us. When the vote finally came, Thren watched the tally with bated breath. The proposal passed with 73% support, and the chamber erupted in reactions ranging from celebration to dismay. Sarah and Marcus embraced, and Thren found himself smiling despite his own mixed feelings about such rapid change. But the session was not over. The council speaker called for attention, announcing an emergency situation that required immediate discussion. We have received a distress call from the Outer Territories, she said, her forearms gesturing urgently. An ancient automated defense system has been activated. Multiple worlds are threatened. The system is targeting any ship that enters the sector with weapons that predate modern shields. How many species are affected? Someone asked. 7 worlds with a combined population of 4 billion souls. The speaker replied, our military forces are scrambling, but the defense system is adapting faster than we can respond. Every tactic we try, it counters within minutes. What is the current response plan? Thren asked. Evacuation, a military commander reported. We are pulling back and attempting to relocate the populations. That will take months, Sarah said, standing abruptly. How long before the system reaches inhabited areas? 3 days, the commander admitted. Sarah looked at Marcus, and some unspoken communication passed between them. We might have a solution, Marcus said, but it will require trust. What kind of solution? The speaker asked warily. A human solution, Sarah said. We excel at improvisation and rapid adaptation under pressure. Give us access to the tactical data, and let us try something your forces have not considered. This is a military crisis, the commander protested. Not a laboratory experiment. Every crisis is an experiment when traditional methods fail, Sarah countered. You can continue with evacuation as backup, but let us try our approach. The council voted quickly, and within hours, a human tactical team led by a former military strategist named Colonel James Park was coordinating with Galactic Force. Thren watched from the command center as Park studied the ancient defense systems. Patterns. It is learning from you, Park observed. Every time you attack with a specific tactic, it adapts and creates a countermeasure. So stop being predictable. How do we fight without tactics? The Galactic commander asked. You do not fight, you confuse, Park said, grinning in that unsettling way humans did when they found something amusing. We are going to feed it contradictory data. Make it think it is facing threats from impossible directions. Overload its processing with chaos until it cannot distinguish real attacks from noise. That is insane. Someone muttered. That is human, Victhil said from his observation post. And it might just work. The plan was implemented with modifications from multiple species, each contributing their expertise to the controlled chaos. Park orchestrated decoy ships appeared and disappeared. Weapon signatures were spoofed and scrambled. Attack vectors changed mid-approach. And through it all, the ancient system tried desperately to adapt to threats that made no logical sense 6 hours into the operation. The defense system locked up, its ancient programming unable to process the contradictory information flooding its sensors. A strike team slipped through the confusion and disabled the system permanently. Saving billions of lives, the success sent shockwaves through the galactic military establishment. Human tactical doctrine, which had seemed so barbaric and chaotic compared to galactic precision, had solved a problem that traditional approaches could not handle. "You saved them," Friend said to Sarah later, as they stood together watching news reports of the rescue. "We helped," Sarah corrected. "Your ships provided the platforms. Your engineers provided the technical expertise. Your strategists provided the knowledge of ancient systems. We just added the chaos that made it all work together. That is remarkably humble for humans," Thren observed with amusement. Sarah laughed. And Thren had learned to appreciate the sound. "We're learning too," she said. "You teach us patience and long-term thinking. We teach you flexibility and innovation. This is what partnership means." Thren nodded, watching as other council members approached to congratulate the human delegation. The scene would have been impossible 2 years ago, but now it seemed natural. Councillor Chen, Vigthal called out, approaching with his characteristic enthusiasm. "I wanted to discuss our joint project, the Quantum Mapping Initiative?" Sarah asked. "Yes," Vigthal said, his excitement palpable. "If we combine human experimental methods with luminary theoretical frameworks, we might finally map the dark matter structure of the galaxy."